when one looks at the quality and ability and the star power that someone just like Neymar Jr. possessed, and then you look at his career and how it turned out, I think probably the best way to put it is that Neymar Jr.'s career was very underwhelming. I think Neymar Jr., in essence, can be considered somewhat of a flop considering the ability and the trajectory that his career was on from a young age. Now, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to MKB, and welcome back to Melanin Ball. Now, this is a little discussion, right, about Neymar, right, because obviously you have all these talks nowadays and everything like that, and obviously people are now considering, the prince that was never crowned king and everything like that, and I wanted to have my own take on this particular discussion when it comes to Neymar. Now, obviously, I think at this point everyone knows the quality that Neymar Jr. possesses. We all know the ability that he has, and we know what type of player he is, right? And as a footballer, as just a pure footballer, from his passing range, from his shooting, from his dribbling, from his control, from the way he strikes the ball, and on all those, everything, like as a footballer, everything like that. In my personal opinion, I think only one player is a much better footballer in my lifetime. From what I've watched, the only player I can generally say is a better footballer than Neymar was Messi, and Messi is the greatest footballer to have ever lived, right? From what I've seen with my own two eyes, right? And yes, I said only one. That's including people like Cristiano Ronaldo, who, in my personal opinion, as a footballer, I think Neymar is better than Cristiano Ronaldo. It might be a crazy thing to say, but it's just pure footballing without adding the career, the trophies, everything. As just a pure footballer, I think Neymar is probably second ever from what I've seen, right? However, this is where the difference now comes in. This is why Ronaldo, I personally regard him as the second best player I've ever watched in my lifetime, because of the fact that he's not a bum, let's be honest. Cristiano Ronaldo's not a bum. In terms of footballing ability, he's still an amazing footballer, one of the best ever. But on top of him being that, it was his mentality. It's the hunger to win, the hunger to conquer different accomplishments, and that hunger to want to be the best, And you see that with the trophies he's won, the things he's accomplished, the amount of Ballon d'Ors and everything like that. And now, that is where I think Neymar kind of lacked in, right? That's where Neymar lacked in terms of being a player, in terms of he kind of lacked that winning mentality. He kind of lacked this drive to want to be the best player ever. And I feel like that's what really let him down as a player, right? Because we all know what we all saw glimpses of Neymar being the best player in the world. Obviously, as a youngster coming from Santos, being this hot prospect, destroying that league and everything like that. And we even saw him, I think, in international stage when he played against England back then, and when in the Santos days, he completely demolished England completely, and that's how he even earned that move eventually to go to Barcelona. And it's crazy because at that time, you see, the likes of Barcelona were looking at, even Real Madrid also were kind of like looking at him, kind of wanted to sign him. Eventually, obviously, he signed for Barcelona. He joins the team, and we all know what Neymar did in the period when he was at Barcelona. We all saw what he did there. We also the trophies he's won. I mean, I think winning a treble. They won a treble, winning the Champions League, the league, and obviously the Copa del Rey. And the manner of how they did it was unbelievable. And even I think it was the one of the legs where I think at that point Neymar truly emerged as probably one of the best players in the world. I think it was that game against PSG where I think that remontada where they kind of like turned it around, making it 4. I think it was like, how much, 4-0, eventually 6-1 on the aggregate. That whole remontada happened due to Neymar Jr. being the best player on the pitch. The likes of Messi was on the pitch, but when you look at it at that game, you truly see that Neymar had the potential to be the best player in the world. He had the potential to be one of the greats, right? However, then this came to a point where Neymar decided he needed to move, right? And he went to PSG. Now, there was a lot of controversy when it came to this idea of Neymar going to PSG, right? Like, a lot of people are kind of like saying he's selfish, that he just wants money. And yes, of course, going to PSG, he was going to get a lot of money and everything like that. But I think this was maybe not the maybe the club itself wasn't the right idea, but I think the idea of moving to a different club, getting out of Messi's shadow in essence, and being the main man of a particular team, I think that was a step in the right direction for Neymar. Right? I think that was a step in the right direction because it's showing that he no longer wants to be just the second, the sidekick to Messi. He wants to be his own player. He wants to carve a part of his own to really show that he is the best player in the world. And I think going to PSG in essence, really going to a different club, especially a club that hasn't won the Champions League, that hasn't really done much. All they've been doing is kind of just dominating Ligue 1. I think him moving to PSG and trying to be the main man there, trying to essentially carry them to a Champions League title, to a very first Champions League. I think that is signs of a winning mentality. That is the signs of a player who's trying to better himself and trying to make himself one of the best. However, that's kind of where Neymar's career kind of took a downfall, right? Obviously, we saw the first couple of seasons. I think the first 2 or 3 seasons, I think he was actually really good. He played unbelievably. He was an unbelievable player. But then as time went on, obviously, we all know one thing that Neymar is famously known for is his reoccurring injuries. Season after season, missing plenty of matches, missing important games. Neymar's injuries has been the biggest hindrance to his career. And it really does suck to see because of this, he didn't accomplish much after leaving Barcelona. Because when you look at his career at Barcelona, he was essentially a player with the world at his feet. There was even a point where I think he had more goals than Messi and had more assists than Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the two greatest of all time. So like you look at it now and you're thinking to yourself, this person should have accomplished so much more. But he was just so underwhelming, man. Like, it's sad to see. It's really sad to see because you look at the career this man could have had. You look at the accomplishments he could have accomplished, and it's really disappointing, And injuries really really put a damper on his career. It really ruined the type of player he is. But don't get us wrong, right? I think now people are kind of just defiling that Neymar's name in terms of now they're just saying he's a flop, a straight out flop. He didn't accomplish what he should have, so now he's just this meaty ass player who let's not get it twisted, right? I think Neymar is still one of the best players ever. Like he's still, and I think he's still in his generation. I still think he's probably makes it in top 5, top 4, maybe even top 3 if you want to put. I think in his generation he's still probably one of the best players I've ever touched a pitch. But I think when it comes to Neymar, the discussion really does fall upon the fact that he just didn't accomplish what he was meant to, because what his ability meant for him as a player, I think he just didn't reach his full potential, and that's kind of what that hinders Neymar in any conversation of him being one of the best footballers ever, right? I think that's the issue. His injuries really ruined him because there were even times where he really stepped up in certain situations. I think if you looked at the World Cup 2020, what was it? The most recent World Cup, in 2022 World Cup, right? When you look at it, for Brazil, man was injured, right? And then he comes into the game, right? And then he balled out. He balled out for them, and he was the best player on the pitch. But just that the rest of the team just let him down. There were times where you look at that PSG side. There were moments where Neymar really stepped up for the team and kind of just dominated and took the game by the scruff of the neck and showed that he's the main man of the team. And then I feel like another contributing factor for Neymar that really just diminished his reputation is the fact that he left the shadow of Messi, right? And he went to PSG. For a couple of seasons, he was the main man there, and he was really playing at a decent level, a high level. Obviously, injuries again did hamper that. But then you have this emerging Frenchman in Kylian Mbappe now entering this team, and now all of a sudden, Neymar's essentially now in the shadow of Kylian Mbappe, because Kylian Mbappe was essentially made the star boy. He was essentially made the main man for PSG. And now you look at this and it's like, Neymar just left one shadow and entered another. And it's really sad, especially now considering the fact that he left Ligue 1 and then he went to Al Hilal or whatever the club in Saudi that he went to. And It's just so disappointing, man. As a Neymar fan, because I love Neymar. I love Neymar. I think he was probably one of the people that really showed how enjoyable football can be. He was an entertainer, a showman. But and on top of that, he had the goals and assists and he had trophies to go along to show that he's a quality player. But besides even that, he was just a brilliant performer on the pitch. Like the things that he would do on the pitch, there's some things that most players could only dream to be able to do. But sadly, Neymar just didn't accomplish the things that he should have done. Now, do I think that Neymar is a flop? Particularly no, because I still think his average career is still, for any other player, that's probably their best. That's probably like the best career they could possibly have, Neymar's average career. But I think in terms of what he was meant to accomplish, in terms of his potential, and in terms of what we have expected from Neymar, I think in essence of that, he was a flop. But I don't particularly think that his career is a flop because I still believe that he's probably top five best players of his generation. So yeah, that's how I'm gonna end it. I'm very curious to hear what you guys think of Neymar's career and what he's accomplished, and do you guys believe that he's a flop? So comment down below on what you think. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for any post notifications for when I upload, and yeah, we out.